Good morning. Please, I know many of you are tired. It was such a magnificent evening last night. It was just magical. All the tables, the settings, the just pure enjoyment of being together. But I want to ask you, since you woke up this morning, if you made a list of all the things you thought about, how long would that list be? Paul and I have only been up since 5:30, and I could make a really long list. How many things on your list would you have? How much of it was enriching, and how much of it was stressful? It's a good thing to think about, because our thinking is a perpetual process. It's really challenging to turn off the chatter in our mind. But that's the creative part of our life. It's always going on, no matter what we're thinking. But it's those deeply held thoughts that we keep going back to and giving it more and more attention that tend to gather energy, and we end up experiencing that in our life. So have the thoughts this morning help to create a greater experience tomorrow, or maybe another one that we really don't want to get out of bed for. We have the opportunity every day to realign our thinking pattern, and it's up to us to do that. That's the challenge. We can give you all kinds of tools, but it really is up to each one of us to shift that thinking pattern in our mind, because our thoughts precede what happens in our future. Our thoughts now change what happens in our future. So if we're not the guardian of our mind, if we're not paying close attention, then we end up in a place where we go, how did that happen? Wow, I didn't expect that. And that's why Science of Mind classes are so valuable. It's not that we teach you what to think, we teach you how to think out of the box, how to think bigger, how to think in ways that you haven't experienced it before, and how to think in a way that you can then further cultivate and nurture those ideas. Because we all have goals. We all have things that we would like to have improved or just better in our life, whether it's a relationship or health issues, maybe it's our work or whatever we're doing in our creative nature. There's always this sense of wanting to improve it in some way. But like nature, it's like planting a garden. Our minds are seeds, and we actually draw that on the whiteboard in class. You plant a seed, and you water it, and it goes and it has roots in the ground, so it's strong, and then it builds a plant, and then it flowers, and that's really how it goes. But, if you're a gardener, and you don't even have the energy to weed your garden, what happens? Because nature works the same on a weed or a seed, a plant seed. It gives it the same sunshine, it gives it the same water. But if we're not the guardian of our mind, we do tend to get more weeds in the garden of our life. Some years ago, a Hawaiian author, Alan Cohen, came here, and he had a wonderful workshop. Very, very incredible speaker, very relaxed, never wears a tie, very funny, and he travels all over the world giving inspirational talks. But he told us at that time, no matter how good of a talk I give, someone comes up to me afterwards and says, I heard what you said, but my life sucks. And here's why, and I can't seem to get over it. And he was so frustrated by that. He wrote a book, Why Your Life Sucks, and How to Get Over It. And it even has a big sippy cup with a big straw on the cover. But he had a lot of really good points in it, because one of the things he talked about is that we often waste our energy on things that don't serve us. Actually, he said things that suck. I hate to use that word too much. But we often waste our energy on things that don't serve us. Now think about that. How much energy just this morning was wasted on our thought patterns. Because these things deplete us. And now, of course, he says, when you find that you're wasting your energy on something that doesn't serve you, just quit it. Well, it sounds easier than it really is at times, because we find ourselves in a rut at some times, and we can't figure out how to get out of it. But he said, let's put our energy on things that enliven us, not deaden us. That's a pretty heavy word, deaden us, things that really take us down to a low level of energy. I don't know about you, but I've met people in my life that kind of have this illusion that if they keep doing things that don't serve them, keep wasting their time, that some God in the sky is going to go, oh, you poor soul, let me give you a bonus, or let me give you something good because you've really lied in the trough of life. And that is not true, but it's an illusion. Anybody know somebody like that? They think that somewhere, somehow, some God's going to go, you've suffered long enough, now I bless you, you have riches and whatever you think you need. And it isn't happening because we're putting energy into the suffering. We're putting our intention into the suffering. The truth is, when we get involved with something we don't like, it's hard to get out of it. Because what I find is, and I have to be really careful of this in my own life, when I get involved with a committee or a group or something, my nature is to find where the gap is in their effectiveness and fill the gap. But the problem is, so many other people are doing things that's wasting their energy. They're going, she'll fill the gap? Hey, you can take this on too, and you can take this on too. And all of a sudden you're doing 80% of the work and you're going, what happened? And that's just my nature. I have to think, no, that's not where I want to spend my time. I want to use my energy in the most effective, efficient manner, but I want to use it for an expanding life, not a contracting or deadening life. So if you're using your energy and you're not feeling joy or happiness or a thrill, really think about that, because it's time to make the most of it. When you're leaking your energy all around at things that don't serve you, it's really not giving what Spirit has given you. It's really not making best use of who you're meant to be. So the truth is, when we don't choose, there are some things we have to do, such as pay taxes, but there's many, many more things that we are using our time for that is wasting our energy. And I encourage you to think about what that might be. And so in Alan's book, he has a lot of things to really make you think about where you might be wasting your energy. And I'm picking just 4 of these. And I'm questioning you this morning, and you can go home and think about this. Question number 1, if you took the energy you're wasting on things that aren't working and used it for things that you love, what would change in your life? Things that you're wasting your energy and use that for things that you love, what would change? That's a really good question. Because sometimes even here at the center, someone needs help, and it's not maybe what I love, but I help. But then actually in the spirit of it here, because everyone's so loving, I get to love it and I get to experience love that I didn't even know I had. But when you go home today, I'd invite you to take a piece of paper and make a list of the activities you do during the week and then rank them. +10 for it fills my soul, 0 for neutral, and -10 for my life sucks when I do this. It's deadening me. And look at all those, and then see what you're spending your time on. So you're ranking it from a 10 plus to 0, to a -10. Don't be doing as many of those things if you can at all possibly do that, because it's draining your energy. And then what you'll also have is a map of where your energy goes. You'll have a conscious map, and you'll be able to consciously decide how to shift that or change it. You know, most of us are really good at watching where our money goes, but we don't always watch where we spend our time. But where our time goes is where our attention goes and where our intention goes. So if you're really good at managing money, think about how good you are of managing your intention for your life. It's a whole different thing, because our attention is the strongest currency we have at all. It's the strongest currency we have. It's what creates a great life, a life you love to live. There's an old story about a young warrior who went to the medicine man and he said, I'm having a lot of trouble. In my head, there's 2 dogs fighting, and one is mean and vicious, and one is kind and sweet, but I can't get them both out of my head. What do I do? Will I be able to settle this problem? And the medicine man said, you will win with the one that you give your attention to, the one that you feed. So if you're having a conflict in your mind about anything that's going on, you'll win with the one that you feed. So be careful of what we're feeding in our mind. Question number 2, if you took the energy you waste on complaining or criticizing and used it to make decisions, how would your life change? You know, sometimes it's fun to rehash our problems with a group of people. It's almost like a contest, who has the most horrible problem, who's got the worst this, the worst that, and there's kind of a synergy that starts. And all of a sudden you walk away from that group and you feel terrible because you've taken on the energy of all of the problems you've all discussed. So be very careful of that, because when we talk about our problems, it's really self-sabotage, because that's what we're giving our attention to. That's where we're putting our attention. So problems are what we see when we take our eye off the goal. That's a Robert Schuller quote. And I love Robert Schuller. He was the Crystal Cathedral. For many years I watched his show, and I really liked his book. They really set me straight. And he wrote one that is called "Tough Times Never Last, but Tough People Do." I must have read that 100 times. And one of his quotes, "It takes guts to leave the ruts." It takes guts to leave the ruts. Isn't that true? We get in such a pattern. It's just like driving to church. You always go the same way, sit in the same seat. There are these ruts we get ourselves into. And then we go, my life's really boring. It takes guts to leave the ruts. He says problems are illusions. They really are illusions, because it takes courage to make a decision to stop saying, I have a problem. He met a businessman who complained that many of his employees weren't working hard enough to make his business a success. He said, you don't have a problem. You just need to make some decisions. And the guy went, reframed it, looked at it a different way. Another time, Dr. Schuller had someone come up to him and said, how do I get a job when I'm unemployed? And he said, how do you catch a moose? How do you catch a moose? And he walked away. And the guy goes, what does that mean? Maybe I ought to think about this. This is an important guy. He said, how do I catch a moose? Well, if I wanted to catch a moose, I would go to Canada. I'd find out where the moose go. I'd find out where they get their water. I'd find out what kind of food they eat. And then I'd find out, how do I get close enough to catch a moose? And actually, if we apply that same thing to what we think is a problem in our life, we come up with some pretty unique ideas. So think about the moose this week when you think you have a problem, because your decisions today impact tomorrow. They impact everything in your life tomorrow. Question number 3. If you took the energy you waste on people who use you or don't appreciate you, and you use that energy to meet positive, wonderful people like you do here at the center, how would that look in your life? How would that feel in your life? Many times we're around people that drag us down. Sometimes we're around people that we want to use. It's another thing to think about. That's a waste of energy. Because I know it's Halloween, but there are people out there we call energy vampires. Ever met one? They just kind of suck the life out of any conversation. You know they're in their company, you're in their company when they leave you depleted rather than enriched after a conversation. Well, comedian Elaine Boozler, I just love her, she's really great, but she says, watch out for anyone who says, I have so much love to give and no one to give it to. Those are key words. It says, I'm the emotional black hole of the universe and I'll suck every ounce of energy from you if you let me. Energy vampire. She said it's also like being around a giant vacuum cleaner. They just take it all out of you. What I've learned is the best gift we can give an energy vampire is sometimes our attention, but our positive attitude that things really aren't that bad in the world, that they really are capable, and they really aren't so needy. We don't help an alcoholic by giving them a drink, and we don't help an energy vampire by getting involved and excited about their issue, because it only promotes it, it only makes it worse. Don't feed the drama that's around you. We can be a light in that situation. Now, you know, in my experience, a chronic complainer doesn't always like happy people around them. And in our community a few years ago, a lady came knocking on the door, and I invited her in. I knew who she was, and she wanted to tell me all the problems about Lake California, where we live. Everything was wrong. The board was corrupt, the manager was bad, everything was wrong. And I said, I don't believe that. I think they're all doing the best they can. Well, it didn't change her. She just went on another tangent. Well, did you hear about who did this, and did you hear about who did that? And I said, that's not my experience. Well, that didn't help. She just kept on. And so I said, I'm going to have to ask you to leave. Now, there aren't many times in my life I do that, but I did that. And she was so insulted. She said, you're a narrow thinker. You aren't looking at this. You're going to be sorry. You're going to be sorry you didn't pay more attention. And bye. Bye. She never came back. And I'm sure she said a lot of complaining about me, but that was all right with me, because we never should really care what other people think about us. I couldn't change her mind, but I sure changed my environment very fast. Because in the reality of life, people are going to do what they're going to do, what's in their own best interest. And in order to help promote a more positive attitude, it's up to us to be the light, to just be the smile, to be the one that says, that's not my experience. I see a lot of good in the world. And it really does help. It does help a lot. But the most important thing, it preserves our energy. We don't let them drain us. We don't let them drain our energy. Question number 4. What would happen if you took the energy you use on specific goals and used it to focus on the quality of your life experience? On the quality of your experience. That's an interesting one, because here at the center we talk a lot about seva. Whether it's a large job or a small job, we talk about selfless service to God, the quality of the experience. I encourage everyone to be involved in one way, shape, or form, some form of selfless service here at the center. It's doing things at a pace that enlivens you, that doesn't drain your energy. We have an awareness mailing team, and they come in every month to fold the awareness, put tape on all sides, to put the labels on, and then take it to the post office. And I always walk in there because they're not frantic. They're not, we're going to get her done in an hour and get out of here. No way. They're laughing. They're enjoying food. David Luzier always brings a painting that he did that month, and he sets it up for everyone to enjoy it. They're having a blast. It's selfless service, but it's also friendship and love and joy and happiness in just an hour or two during the month. It's a wonderful thing to see. Yesterday afternoon, dozens of people worked on the harvest dinner. Some many hours more than others, but it was all selfless service to God. And yesterday afternoon, when Paul and I came in to help set up the table with Sherry, people weren't scurrying around. There was no franticness going on. There was no hustling and bustling, we got to get her done. It was joy. It was pure joy, love, just fun, saying hi to each other, having a conversation in the middle of setting up a table. This is what selfless service is to ourself, that re-energizes us. It was just a marvelous thing. Many people work in competitive businesses where you've got to get the next raise, you've got to get the next sale, you've got to do this and do that to get the money, the cars, the women, the whatever. And that is a pretty frantic experience in life. It's a big energy drain. First prizes can be fun, but if you're left without a sense of the quality of the experience, then what is it all about? We love to watch football, and football players get a lot of awards. And every once in a while I think about, when the mantle's full, the closet's full, the garage is full, the storage shed is full, then what? What's it all about? Where is the friendship, the love, and the laughter? Where is that quality of the experience? In the end, the only goal worth working for is a satisfied soul. And that's what meditation is about, listening to your soul. What will greatly satisfy your soul? So if we're stuck, we know through spiritual mind treatment, through classes, through just being around like-minded people, we can get ourselves out of the ruts. And that's really important to know how to do that. It's another thing we teach, not what to do, how to. And so I thought I would read you this wonderful thing I read many years ago. It's called the Paradoxical Commandments. Does anybody know that? Paradoxical, you'll recognize it right away. This is all about our energy. People are illogical, unreasonable, and self-centered. Love them anyway. If you do good, people will accuse you of being selfish with ulterior motives. Do good anyway. If you're successful, you'll win false friends and true enemies. Succeed anyway. The good you do today will be forgotten tomorrow. Do it anyway. Honesty and frankness make you vulnerable. Be honest and frank anyway. The biggest men and women with the biggest ideas can be shot down by the smallest men and women with the smallest ideas. Think big anyway. People favor underdogs, but follow top dogs. Fight for a few underdogs anyway. What you spend years building may be destroyed overnight. Build it anyway. People really need help, but they may attack you if you help them. Help them anyway. Give the world the best you have, and you may get kicked in the teeth. Give the world the best you have anyway. So join me in a treatment to embody these beautiful ideas about our energy, our joy, our happiness in our life. There is only one expression going on here. That expression is God in you, in me, in the chair, in the music, in the air conditioner. Everything is an expression of the one. So this morning, I pay close attention to where I use my energy. I pay close attention at some part of the day on what Spirit is telling me. I give my best to life, and when I forget, I give it again anyway. This is the beauty and the love of this teaching. It's the beauty and the love of Spirit expressing fully in our lives, fully and completely as us. And it is beautiful anyway, and so it is.